Hello, welcome to my new show, You Throughout the Years. Here we will have conversations with ordinary persons like you and me. Everyone has a story, either good or bad, funny or sad. So come and reminisce with us as we find out how these years have shaped our lives. And my guest today is a inspiring, intelligent, and beautiful lady. And I am so happy that I have known her for this is 2 years. Oh,
Yes.
2 years. Yes, she is really good. A powerhouse of interesting business ideas and ways to get better in life with business. So today we have my friend Sincerely, and that is a wonderful name. Can you introduce yourself to us?
Yes, for sure. Thank you so much for having me on your show. It's really a pleasure to be here. So my name is Sincerely George, and I am a technologist and somebody who loves learning about innovative things and really connecting with people that are trying to leverage technology to change the world or change their life.
Mm. See what I told you? A very smart and intelligent lady. And
Thank
I'm so happy I know her. What is the earliest age that you can remember?
The earliest age I can remember is I I think it's 5. My mother would probably say that it was 4 because me and my mom are in a disagreement in regards to when we got on the train, moving from one side of the country to the other. But I think I was 5, 4 or 5, and the earliest memory that I remember is being that age, so just a little tiny kid, and my father got me a massive teddy bear. And I remember I could lay in the legs of the teddy bear, or that's what I felt like, right? Like the teddy bear would be up against the wall, and it was just so soft. And yeah, so it was really my hometown, which I left when I was, 5 or 6. Like I said, me and my mom have a disagreement about that. And just all the people from my early childhood and all the friends that I had. So yeah, that's my earliest memory. I just enjoyed that teddy bear. I just run into it right in my bedroom, and I remember sleeping at the foot of it because I didn't want to go and lay in my bed. It was softer here. So yes, that's my earliest memory.
That's a wonderful, a sweet memory as well. Did your parents tell you when you started to walk, even talk?
Um, I No, my parents didn't tell me. I think my grandmother was probably the one that really helped me walk and talk. I attribute a lot of who I am today to my grandmother, because I'm of the belief that, the most formative parts of our personality and who we are come genetically, through, just which genetic pieces are turned on and off. And then, our heritage, so the environment that we're brought up in, right? What are our parents like? So how do we choose to behave in the midst of those? And then how we're taught in our earliest years. So from 0 to 7 is when we're in a state of theta. Everything that happens in front of us from 0 to 7, we just absorb it like a sponge and are more likely to mirror those behaviors. And so my grandmother cared for me from 0 to 4. So my mother was in the hospital for an extended period. And so she cared for me, and I was her little princess. So she's the one that taught me how to speak. She was the one that, taught me how to interact with other people. But I'm not exactly sure exactly when I started talking and walking. But yeah, I have some great pictures of my grandmother and I. She was a beautiful
Okay.
person.
Yes, I can understand. Sometimes parents do not tell us the small things, but when you go down in life, we want to know because
Yes.
you never know. You might get these questions at some point in time. As a child from four, you said, for
Hmm.
to say 12, what was your attitude as a child? And was it a pleasure to your parents to raise you during this time, 4 to 12?
Um, no, I don't think I was fun to raise. Because from 4 to 12, um, as I mentioned, my mom was in the hospital. She had had some horrible experiences during my early years, or maybe, before I was even born, which continued to influence her. And so she was engaged in a lot of therapy, and I spent a lot of time, you know, at school and in the care of others as my mom went through her therapy. And the desire to be around your parent, the desire to really have relationship. My mom loved me to pieces. I'd get an A or a gold star on my paper at school, and she would put it in the scrapbook and really, praise me for all of that. But just the desire to be seen by my mother, to take precedence over the challenges that she was facing, was, I think, top of mind. I love my mother more than you could imagine. And I was hell in a handbasket, right? Well, I need money, so what am I going to do? I'm going to go and set up my own lemonade stand. And when does my mom find out that I have a lemonade stand that she didn't know about? When she's grocery shopping at the Safeway and sees me there. And she's like, "What are you doing here?" And I'm like, "I have a lemonade stand. I'm making money." Right. And, so, and other things, like I used to try and set up a booth at the flea market. Right. I'd find a bunch of different things. And I grew up very poor. And, it depends on where you are around the globe, what your definition of really poor is. But, in my community, one of the qualifiers for really poor in my community was seeing other people climbing in garbage bins. And, for my mother to say to me, "Don't laugh at that person or point them out. You never know if you're going to have to do that." Right.
Yeah.
And so I grew up very humble. My mom had a lot of respect for people, above and below us in social class. And I was really eager to show my mom how special she was. So all of the money making that I did, I made a lot of money for penny candy. I love penny candy. And also to buy my mother gifts and to just gift her with flowers or chocolate or whatever, right? And I'd go and collect bottles, go door to door and collect bottles, and take them down and turn them in. Because where I'm from, you get 5 cents for 2 cents for a can, 5 cents for a small bottle, 20
Mm.
cents for a liter bottle, and 25 cents for a 2 liter plastic bottle. Ooh, those were my favorite. So I'd go and collect them, and then get my mom her favorite chocolate bar, get myself lots of penny candy, or go and buy her flowers, right? I really tried to be a blessing to my mom, but I was a handful because of all of the different things that I was doing, and probably all the ways that I was embarrassing her, because I had no shame in regards to going out
Mhm.
and really trying to get what I wanted in life, right? And that extended all the way through high school, right? So
All right. So you wasn't really a
maker.
troublesome child. You were just very hands-on, go getter. What you need, you will go and get. So
Yes,
yes.
very much. But society translated that as troublemaker. And one
Mm.
of the things I think about, later in life, uh, I did do a respite or covering for kids in, foster kids who were very, very difficult to work with. And one of the truths that I realized is that there's no bad kids or troublemakers. There's just kids looking for attention. That's all that there are, right? They're looking for attention, and wherever they can get that attention, is where they will be. And so if they get attention and they're told how special they are and how much they can do for somebody, right, who has bad intentions, adults that have bad intentions, they're going to be there and they're going to be led down a bad path. But there are no bad kids. There are just kids searching for attention and getting it from the worst possible place. So
Yes, that is so, so true. Ah, yeah, and that's something that people do not take the time to understand. Children who seem bad, but sometimes they are so intelligent, so sometimes that they do not have that avenue to create and do what they want. So, of course, they're going to be labeled bad.
yep, yep. I
So,
think we have some of the brightest, some of the, we have children and young people who have before their life, before they even pull their first breath, right, come into this world addicted to drugs or alcohol, have wounding from damages that were done to their mother while they were in the womb. We already know the impacts of cortisol, stress, and all these different hormones on the human body, right? Imagine that on a fetus. So some of these kids are coming into the world already with PTSD, right? And we aren't recognizing the full life cycle of a child. And I don't think there are any bad kids. If we really take time to understand the environment they're in, then we would have a much different opinion. One small story. I wish we could take people and put them, if you've ever seen Star Trek, and they go onto the simulator deck and they're in a fake world. I wish we could do that with people and put them into where that child was and take them through a time warp of what that child's life was like before they passed judgment, right?
yeah,
Then we would stop judging people, right? Oh, no, I don't want no time warp. You can keep the time warp thing. Nope, right? I'm just
yeah,
wanting to here to help people.
yeah, I agree. Growing up, as you said, your mother has health issues. How was your relationship with your father?
So I didn't have a relationship with my father. My mother, as I mentioned, had some severe issues. It actually, I don't hold it against my father. I actually, hold my mother accountable for not having a relationship with my father or my sisters, because it was my mother's decision that I shouldn't have relationship with any of my extended family. And so when
Oh,
things got really bad for my mom, right around my 8th birthday, um, 7th, 8th birthday, right, I was put into foster care. And so I grew up in the child welfare system. And so, I never had a relationship with my father. But my father searched for me until the day that he died. And it was through the grace of God, probably, that my sister found me using Facebook when I was, in my 30s. So luckily I have a relationship with my sisters today and some different parts of my extended family, which is a true blessing. And I, just so that people don't start crying while they're trying to drive down the street, I wouldn't trade my life for anybody else's, because I wouldn't have the perspective I have if I did live somebody else's life.
yes, correct. And we all have some trauma. We all
Exactly.
have trauma in our lives. And yes, you had some trauma, but you are sincerely no. So you were in the foster care. So how this affect your school and just home in general?
Hmm. Well, I'll start with the first part, school. It infected my school very badly, because between the ages of, I think it was 7, 7, and then I went home for a short while, and then 8, I was in care. And so from 7 to 15, I was in the child welfare system, and I went through 17 different placements. including going back home. So if you think about, and I'm from a reasonably sized city, you know, my hometown, I think, was 2 to 3 million people. So I went to, you know, 17 different schools. And I think it's more like 15 different schools because I went back to one place twice. Um, and, you know, in the end, I also spent some time because, you know, you go through 17 different homes of not feeling loved and not feeling appreciated. And I decided I was going to do it on my own. So there was a period of in my childhood where I wasn't going to school, right? And so when I went to high school and did testing to get into high school, it was like, should she go into grade 9, which is junior high, or should she go into grade 10? And they did my testing and they said, she's too mature for junior high. And high school said, she doesn't know enough for high school. So when I went into high school, I actually had to do my science, math skills for grades 8 and 9, 10, 11, and 12 at the same time. And I graduated grade 12 with my general, you know, high school diploma, no, not the lower level, right, where I would have to take extra courses in university, but, and I finished high school in 2.5 years. So, you know, doing grade 8, grade 9, 10, 11, 12 math. And I had to do the low level math when I was in grade 10, 11, and 12, and then the higher level math so that I could graduate as I was indicating. So it was really hard, but, you know, from 15 to 18, all I dreamed about was my life today, right? What will my life be like when other people are not dictating where I'm going to live and what I can do and what I have to wear? So that really stimulated me to move forward with that. In regards to relationship with others, right? Having been in so many different homes, I think I still suffer from communication skills and relationship building because I didn't get the familial, you know, the family unit type relationship skills. And I grew up in a portion of Canada that was whiter than a white towel, just white. So I didn't have people there were people that were Aboriginals or Native Americans that lived, you know, within my community, and so for much of my youth, I related to being Native American or an Indigenous North American more than anything else, because that was the cultural insight that I was able to learn about and suck up, right? Not being white as a kitchen towel. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I wasn't accepted by any community. So it really impacted me because I didn't feel part of anywhere, right? Yet I wanted to be, and I worked really hard to prove myself. And so I was able to achieve really amazing things. You know, I was supposed to be adopted in the next province over. And so when I went from one province to another, their education system was completely different. So I was set back a year. I was set back from grade 6 to grade 5. Well, I didn't like that. I did not like that. So, you know, I wrote extra report. I figured out which areas I was doing poorly in, did extra reports, did extra work so I could be boosted up and be back in my standard grade. And so, yeah, you know, I think my interest and my desire to not be viewed as less than for any reason got me in a lot of trouble and enabled me to succeed and get to where I am today.
A lot of persons who feel left alone, really. Most persons try their hardest to be successful.
Yes.
I'm so glad that you dig in your heels and said you will be at the top of whatever you wanted in life. Going through your 4 to 12, because it was really not a good time that you lived through. So did this go in your teenage years from 13 to 19?
Yeah. So it went, so it was 15. You know, I lived in 17 different places from like 7 to 15. And when I was 15, I got my forever home, and they really, they changed my life, right? The picture of success that I had ingrained in my head um, was what was so much smaller than they helped me realize was even possible. I didn't realize I could be a doctor or a lawyer or an astronaut. I didn't realize that I could be a nurse, a teacher, or something else. All that I recognized that I could be was equal to those that I admired, right? So I could be a singer, I could be a dancer, I could be a hairdresser, I could be somebody that is doing bad stuff on the streets. I could be a teacher, I guess, but that seems boring, right? You have to give homework and grade it. Ew, right? But I didn't recognize all the different things that I could do. And my family, my family today, right, taught me to better understand what some of my interests were, and then gave me a lot of feedback as I came up with different jobs, right? So I was like, I want to be a fashion designer. And my parents were like, you can't move home, right? No moving home when you turn 30. Oh, okay. I want to be a dancer. No moving home when you're 30. So they really inspired me to think beyond and think bigger. And the thing I love and appreciate the most about my parents is the amount of time that they spent talking about their university experience, what it was like to go to university, how fun it was, all the great friends that they made, the funny things that they did while they were a TA, teaching assistant for somebody else, the parties that they went to, and the crazy things people did. I was so inspired to go to school because I thought it was going to be tons and tons of fun. I couldn't wait. I kept my grades up, so that I could go to school. And it was through that emphasis on going to school that I ended up landing on becoming a software developer. And my dad was a software developer, and it's really cold in Canada, and so I wanted to go somewhere warmer. And when I went to, I went to DeVry, and they said, "Yeah, we can get you a job in the United States." And I was like, "Where do I sign up? How much more math? How much math do I have to do? Where do I sign up?" And it was doing that and really just throwing myself into my education, focusing in on what I needed to learn. And yeah, so I think from 15 to 19 was pretty much bliss for me, and at the same time, I got an opportunity to really give back to my community by becoming a youth advocate and advocating for kids in the young offender and the child welfare system, and helping them understand their rights so that their rights would be respected, and they didn't have to lean in on adults to explain their rights to them.
During this time, did you have any contact with your mother?
So no, I didn't. I didn't have any. From 15, I actually I was working a job at the mall. I wasn't allowed to work in high school because my parents recognized this one can get in a lot of trouble. We'll just give her a big allowance and say she can't work. So I was allowed to work during the Christmas or winter break, and then over the summer I was also allowed to work. But while going to school, I wasn't allowed to work because it would just really deviate me away from my education, and then give me an opportunity to meet people that might seem more fun. So one Christmas I was working at the mall, and my mom, I was coming back after a break, and I saw my mom also working at the mall, and she gave me her telephone number. I hadn't talked to her in forever. I got home, I talked to my mom Diane, and told her I had seen my mom, and woo, I can't wait to talk to her because, like I said, I loved her, right? And so I called my mom, and she said, "Hi, good to see you. Oh yes, we'll talk again." Then she talked to Diane, my mom, and my mom was like, "Oh, ha ha ha," whatever, right? And I'm not sure if there was a secret conversation there, but after that, I didn't talk to my mother again. I saw my mother. I've seen my mother since then, but it's always me reaching for my mom, and her, really being focused on what she needs to focus on in this life, to experience success. So,
Well, it's always sad sometimes, but I know people do not want to admit this, but sometimes we have to break away from some family so we can grow.
yes. Well, and
Because
whatever purpose I've been put on this earth for, um, you know, the skills that I have today, there's no way I could have developed the skills, the understanding, and the relationships I need to have impact today if I had stayed in my mom's care. On the
oh,
other side of that, if I had grown up with my father, my life would be completely changed as well. And it's likely I may not have the same experiences as well, just because of the exposure. So, my life, I know that I've impacted a lot of people in my life just by being able to share my story and by being able to recognize people when a lot of people feel like they aren't seen, right? And
yes.
so being able to see people and tell them that their life has purpose, and being culturally misidentified, right? You know what I mean? Like when I fill out an application at work, or, you're going and applying for a job and they're like, okay, so are you Asian? Are you Black? Are you Mexican? Are you white? I'm like, well, I'm 2 parts white. I must be white, right? That's it. Because otherwise I'm checking off 55 different pieces. Which one am
Yeah.
I, right? How am I supposed to decide that? So that level of confusion of how I identify myself and how others choose to identify myself creates for some interesting conversations, and it really helps me, I think, to help other people find their truth sometimes, right?
Yeah. So people do not believe that being, what you could say, biracial have a lot of persons confused in this world, and there's no person to talk to, or people do not seem to care,
Yeah,
but it's a real problem.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
In Canada, we have two like there's mulatto, which I think most people know, right? Black and white. But then there's also Métis, which is Native American and French, is the original origins. But then it's just Native American or Aborigine and white, right? So I'm mulatto Métis. So I'm everything. You know what I mean? I'm all of it, and I'm lucky because I don't. You look at me and you can see all of it, right? It's not like you see one versus the other. People are like, oh, you must be Turkish. Oh, you must be Spanish. Oh, so it's enabled me to be more inclusive with the people around
Mm,
me and to
yes.
bring more people together, right? Who might not generally mix and match. So creates a lot of fun.
Well, I could say the first time I saw you, you is you're so beautiful. I was seeing gold because
Oh,
your skin look gold, and I especially told my husband. Um, I remember when we talked with us, and then I told my husband, "Isn't she perfect?" And he said, "Yes, you look gold."
oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
so it was beautiful lady.
Thank you so
So
much.
you're welcome. Okay, so we are going into your 20s, and in 20s now you're able to do what you want some way, and you're going you're going after your career, and meeting sometimes a special friend.
Mhm. Yes.
So how was your 20s for you?
Well, I think that nothing happens by mistake, and there is a plan out there. There is a master plan that I don't know. So I fell in love with my college sweetheart, and when I I got my job before I even graduated from school. So I moved to the States and got him a job at my company as well, because I'm that good. And when he showed up married to a white chick, right? He was a really good looking white guy, but his parents were racist and,
Oh,
warned him against marrying somebody who wasn't white, and it's going to cause you so much trouble. Your life's going to be so hard. Do you really want to go for that? Blah, blah, blah. And maybe I'm letting him off the hook easy here, but he showed up to the job married, which just like, there goes my heart. But the one thing about that is that before, and I had broken up with him before I even left my hometown to go and come and move to the States. And, it was because I was like, my mom said, okay, now is the time to ask him, right? Now is the time to ask him if this is a forever thing. And so I asked him, he's like, I don't know. Well, I get to the States and he's like, yes, let's get engaged. And then, I think for him, there was a lot of fear and I was so excited. It's all working out. But I was living my life out loud, right? Like when he couldn't figure it out, I still had to figure it out for myself. I had to figure out
yeah.
what's going to make me live my life out loud. I've worked so hard to get here. So, special friends in my 20s, man, I was an angry woman. Just stay over there. Just don't even come near me, right? Because I went through a childhood of being hurt over and over and over again. And then the man that I wanted to have children with, like, I was his lapdog. Oh, what do you need? You want dinner? Okay, I'm going to make dinner. I'll bring it to the school for you to study with. I loved him so much. And, to lose that again, for that dream of, falling in love and marrying this person to die, I did not have a lot of special friends. Instead, I invested a lot of time in my career and really went, I didn't go to Hollywood, but I invested, blood, sweat, and tears into understanding how technology works and really understanding 24-hour time clock, which was, an emerging idea when I was getting going, and just really putting myself where I wanted to be, right? I want to do that in my career, and then finding ways to be able to do that, and just really getting to where I wanted. And then when I got my green card for the United States, I had a midlife retirement because I had already worked hard enough in my life, right? And then really focused in on what I wanted to do, who I wanted to serve. So if I had been, woo, boys, my life again would be so different,
Yeah.
and so what a blessing to have this gentleman put into my life so I could really enjoy love and wholesome relationships with somebody, right? To really be with somebody who is very respectful most of the time, who worked hard, who, the embodiment of what I wanted in my life, to then be told like, okay, you got to experience that, you wanted that,
Yeah.
right? Now go change the world, right? So for me, it's the way in which we choose to view our life. And generally when one door is closed, another even bigger one is opened up. And, it's to us to recognize what that opportunity is, and then to step into the blessing and then give our gift. So,
Yes.
yeah. But
What?
I was a wild child. I was dumping people's drinks on the floor. I don't want you sitting beside me. Go away.
Yes, and I can understand that is emotional.
Yeah.
So the toughest chick or dude will be broken. So
Yep.
I understand you perfectly. The motivation to achieve your career was, you will say, after having that heartbreak, was
No,
a disappointment.
I've just really always been an overachiever. Like I said, oh, we're going to hold you back, right? Oh, no, you won't. I'm going to write some extra reports. You guys will boost me forward. Finished 3, high school and science and math from junior high in 2.5 years. You should graduate in 3 years. So I'm really an overachiever, put the effort in to do what needs to be done. I think it was just, I had a broken heart. And when I wasn't thinking about him, it was totally on living my best life, right? And really reaching for all that I wanted, right? Like I came out of 18 just so excited to not have anybody lording over me. I graduated by the time before I turned 25, which was my goal. And then from 25 on, I now have control of my life. I now make good money. I now can have a car. I can live safely, right? I don't have to worry about, the living in a poor area where, I'm more at risk. Everything just came alive. So even though I had this massive heartache, and it was a massive heartache, at the same time, I could see the sweetness of my life. Because against that, I at the same time had the picture of all the other kids I had served in the child welfare system, and their life had not been transformative like mine. People have called me a miracle because of what I've been through and where I am today, where I was, when I was 25. So, that tenacity, that hard work, that not give up, is, you can't take that away. And, when my heart's broken, it's just one more reason to turn in a different direction, because my heart was broken many, 17 different times. So it's an opportunity to turn in a different direction and focus in on what could be more important to me.
Yes, and this is a testimony that the world needs to hear. I'm glad that you came on my show so you can share it, because there are a lot of hurting people that really need a sliver of hope.
Yeah.
And you are inspiring me, and I know you're inspiring others.
Awesome.
You can make it. You could be whatever you want, and you don't have to bury your head in the sand or feel your environment but keep you back. Just once you want it, just put your foot down and go. You can make it.
Yep.
You have come through your 20s powerfully, and now you're going into your 30s. A time of knowing yourself, especially for women. We know ourselves more in our 30s and know what you want to do. Were there any detours in your 30s that some were good and some was not so good?
Well, yeah. So in my 30s, Android was released, the Android phone. And we had the iPhone, the iPod, remember the iPod, 20,000 songs in your pocket, woo, which I thought was great. And working in technology, I had the Palm Pre, I had all of these different devices, the BlackBerry, the pager, the StarTAC phone, all of these different phones. When Android came out, I knew that I wanted to work in mobile. I knew that it was going to be revolutionary and change the world. And it was at that point that I really decided that I wanted to work in mobile, that I wanted to be more engaged in startup, and started to move in that direction. It was in my 30s that I had, my midlife retirement, because I didn't even think I was going to make it to 40. So, it was like, okay, if this is it, then let me enjoy it. So I lived on a beach in Florida and enjoyed sunsets and was that crazy woman that would be out there, sitting in the sand late night, and, getting kicked off the beach by the police because it's too late to be out here, ma'am. You need to go inside. All right, fine. I'll walk across the street then, jerk. But yeah, just, really coming into knowing myself and being myself. 30 was, yeah, it was good. And I really found where I wanted to be, and learned that if I want something, that I'm willing to work hard, whether there's a dollar sign at the end of it or not. right? That I just love. I love, 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 love technology. And yeah, that was a realization in my 30s. I've had newer realizations, but that was my big realization, and just my willingness to go and try and solve problems, and research trends and what's expected to happen, and yeah, just really loving technology. So 2007 to 2012 was me doing running my own business and helping small businesses. The way I view it is helping small businesses implement the solutions that large businesses use to grow, right? And so that's what I was doing for really small mom and pops. And then what I was working on at this point, aligned with what another gentleman was working on, and we decided to move to San Francisco and focus on trying to grow this idea into a mastermind idea and get funding for it. You can't do that. You can't get funding for technology in Florida. At least you couldn't back then. They were just like tourism, food, right? The tourism, food, cruises. Is it a problem associated with that? No, we have no money for you. Yeah. So we moved to San Francisco to raise funds for our startup, and then I went back to work because I ran out of money. Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, the reality of living.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so then we are going into your 40s, and can you share your age?
Yes. So I'm 46. Just recently turned 46.
No. Do not believe that.
I feel so lucky, right? I got ID'd until I was 35, right? And I used to get so mad. Oh, why are they ID'd?
Her skin. Her skin. Look how young she looks. You are blessed, my sister.
Yes, I really do feel blessed. And up until my 40s, up until these past couple of years, right? Probably 4 years, I didn't health problems. What are health problems? I can't have health problems. I'm strong as an ox. I go in for my doctor's appointments, and they always say everything's perfect. Nobody could have better lab results than me. And so I listened to the doctor more than I listened to myself. And I knew about 4 or 5 years ago, that something was wrong. I was losing my hair. And so the last 2 years I've been refinding myself, right? What really focusing in on what's the most important thing for me. We used to talk a lot on Twitter. I was out there all the time doing this, trading cards. Yeah. And, just between everything that's been going on in 2020 and my health problems, it just, I've been MIA and really focused in. And it really took the last couple of years have been me really not becoming a lot more spiritual, but really going down into my spiritual beliefs a lot more, and trying to figure out where I fit in everything, right? There are a lot of times when you feel like giving up, and if there was just a switch that you could flip, right? You know what I mean? Thank goodness there isn't a switch, because you would walk right over there in those moments. I'm done. It's done, right? And you can't turn the switch back on after you're done, right? But yeah, my 40s, the last couple of years of my 40s have been pretty dark, with just trying to figure out what's up with my health, and will it get better, and investing a lot of money in trying to resolve my health, and watching my wealth diminish, and trying, the one thing about 2020, and this might be good for some of your viewers to hear, is one of the things about 2020 is we go out into the world, even you, Rochelle, you go out into the world, you go see your doctors, you go for your appointments, you go, you're constantly engaging with the world around us. In 2020, it was, everybody needs to stay home, stay at home. Well, what does stay at home mean? It means stay at home with the voices in your head. It means stay at home with the voices of criticism of the family and people that support you. right? Very seldom are we at home and everybody around us is like, oh my goodness, Rochelle, you are the
Yeah.
best ever.
Yes.
Woo, woo, I'm your cheerleader. Usually they're like, why didn't you do that? We all have our own story going on in our head. And so we're in judgment of the people who are around. And for me, I live alone. And so I was stuck with the voices in my head. So coming out of 2020 with everything else that had gone on, I'm not good enough. And everything I do sucks. And, why aren't I better? And everybody's better than me. And there's so many other voices in there, right? You say, I'm going to try this. And then you've got 5 voices telling you why you can't. And what's really been transformative for me, if you had asked me to do this interview even 3 months ago, 4 months ago, there's no way I would have done it. I lacked the confidence is the wrong word, but the striving in life, the willingness to live, right? I was willing, obviously I stayed on, right? I stayed on, I got the help, blah, 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 right? If I can make it through that, I can make it through anything. But, I came to realize that the voices in our head, everybody right now, as we're in 2021, and I tell everybody this, the voices in our head in 2020 have overtaken our community perception that we had of ourselves. And the reason for that is because you go out to the hospital, you go in for your doctor's appointment. And when you go in, the nurse is like, hi, go sit out over there. You fill out the form and you bring it back and they're like, oh my goodness. And you can see their micro expressions. You filled out the form perfectly. And you're like, good job. Good job. You filled out the form perfectly. Then you hold the door open for somebody and they're like, oh my goodness, thank you so much. And you're like, good job. Good job. So the voices in your head have to deal with the voices of what's going on in your community. So you get lots of good feedback about all the things that you're doing well. But then when the voice in your head is constantly telling you all the things that you're doing bad, and that's the only one that you hear, then you think that you're doing bad, right?
Yeah.
And so my real, in the last couple of months, and it's hard in the beginning, it's really, really hard. In the last couple of months, it's just putting that positive, positive information back in there, listening to positive affirmations that tell me to believe in myself. And really a lot of affirmations. There was one YouTuber, Therapy in a Nutshell, that I started listening to because I was just having anxiety attacks. I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this. And I listened to, Therapy in a Nutshell for like an entire weekend, just on autoplay practically. And then another therapist would come up and I was like, no, I don't want to, oh my goodness, right? And I'd go back to her. And I'm not saying that she is the be all end all, but she helped me get through my anxiety and then helped me to, bridge to where I need to be to actually start more of that healing. Because the community that I was in, I didn't feel I was getting the support I needed, right? So I needed to go and find a different support. And that's been transformative for me. For some people, it will be their religious communities. I can't say that it's their religious communities because maybe the voices there are still weighing down and telling them that they're not good enough. But, we need to get out of ourselves, out of our nucleus of people and out where people don't feel so comfortable to constantly criticize us. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, you already know I love you, right? Oh, I love you. You don't need me to tell you that all the time, right? That's what our kids and that's what our husbands and wives tell. We know they love us, but we need to hear it. We need to hear it to battle these voices in our heads.
Yeah.
Right? And so that is, if there's one piece of wisdom that I have, it would be that. That has been my realization for, 45 going on to 46. And it's, realizing that outside of the voice in my head that tells me that I can't do it, there are still things that I really enjoy doing. And, even though I'm like, no, I need to watch the news right now. No, I can go and do some coloring. No, I can go and play with my plants outside, right? And those activities, even though I'm like, oh, it's so hot outside, I don't want to. If I go and put my fingers in the dirt and start playing with my plants and trimming my plants, I will start to feel a little bit better. And if I go and I decide I'm going to paint something because that's, that gives me, I know that in my childhood that gave me some joy, I will find a little bit of joy. And then things will become a little bit more hopeful. and then I can take on the bigger tasks. And, just don't push yourself too fast. Just accept yourself wherever you are. That's my wisdom on that.
All of this food for thought that sincerely is sharing. People don't want to share. And I know that you'll be afraid, but I always say that sometimes your life will be the only Bible or manual for others to see or to read. So I always encourage people to talk. Yes, it is bad, but God has a plan, and we do not understand the whole picture yet. You are in that whole picture, so just share, and you can help someone else that needs to hear a normal person like you and me, and how they came through it.
Well, the thing, we have secrets. Everybody has secrets, and the challenge is that we think that people will not accept us when we share our secrets. But the question I ask people who feel that they can't share their secrets is, how can people accept you if you're not being your authentic self? And when we pretend that bad things haven't happened to us, then then we can't truly be authentic, right? And that was another thing that came to me, in my 40s, was just, no, I'm no longer willing to pretend that I don't have my past. For a long time, I tried to act like, I talk about my family, and it's one long family. Nobody knew that there were lots of different, it's one big story. I didn't talk about the hardship in my life. I didn't talk, like, I have a lot of hardship in my life, but if I can find peace and forgive myself, right? Because a lot of times we have a lot of blame and regret about our own behavior, and forgive the other person, right? And that can be nearly impossible, right? So it's hard to find forgiveness, but how do I find forgiveness out of that? And it happens. We're led, and sometimes it takes a massive tragedy on one side for us to recognize that we need to be going in a different direction. That's my story. I can't tell anybody else how to live their life, right? But claim your life, because it's your life, your story to tell. And if God lives in all of us, then God is living your life.
Yes.
Right? So therefore, you are an embodiment of God walking through your life. God was there for that hardship, right? And God, you can never be separate, because it's all one, right? So it's finding that, going within with the prayer and meditation, to find that acceptance, to continue to walk the journey that God has laid out for you with the greatest celebration of your life, embracing all the things that you love in your life, sharing your gifts with the world, because you have purpose, right? And if we let our hardship get in the way of living our life on purpose, then we are not living a life well lived.
Right. This is perfect to ask when your father was looking for you, or when he found you, and you found other part of your family. How receptive were there of you, and you of them?
Well, my father died before we got a chance to meet. And because my mother was not supportive of helping me find my father in the few intersections that we had, so I never got a chance to meet him. But he searched for me my entire life, and he thought I was safe. So there's always opportunities to build a new resentment. Oh, well, that evil woman. Ah! And in all honesty, because my mom had put so much effort into keeping us away from my extended family when I was a child. When I did make contacts, I searched for them. When I didn't have my mom in my life, I searched for my biological family. And when I found my grandmother, right, I found my grandmother, wrote her letters. She sent me pictures of myself. And then I ran into my mother, like I told you, at that Christmas, right? And I shared with her that I had met my family and I'm getting ready to go out and see them. And she said, if you ever talk to them again, I will never talk to you. Well, she never talked to me, so I should have kept talking to them. But hindsight being 2020, my grandmother also died not long after that. I just found a letter from her that I didn't quite translate correctly. And it's interesting that it was on this pile that I was looking at today, and I opened it up and it was a letter from my grandmother, and I was just like, whoa, this is too much for right now. But it was like, things aren't going very well here right now, right? And she passed on about 6 to 8 months later. So yeah, an opportunity to really embrace, really build relationships with my biological family when I was in my late teens. It was sort of severed off, right? And so I can hold a resentment against my mom and say, she did this to me. I didn't get this because of her. But where has my higher power been able to put me because I was not embedded in that family? I was separated from my family, as loving and caring and awesome as they are, for some reason to have impact on this world. So how would my life, like, as I work really hard to find them, and I find them, how is, God, higher power, universal energy working to keep me on path with where I am going to have impact? And I don't think I'll understand where I had impact until I'm gone, right? And, I went to a church when I lived in Washington, D.C. I went to a church called McLean Bible Church. And the pastor there said, people from all walks of life come to DC because, this is a hub of change around the world. And, Gandhi came here, right? Well, what if Gandhi had come here? What if Gandhi had this welcome, right, that we provide here at this church of being accepting? And that's the thing, is that, the way and path that you're on, you never know. And you just need to continue to live your best life ever, and to live your life out loud, and to listen to the song that's singing inside of you. And for me, it's trying to remember what that song is, because I've lived for so long living by everybody else's rules, right? Of trying to conform to society and what society says I should be. But that little 8-year-old girl who was having lemonade stands and going door to door and, collecting cans and, organizing, students to do stuff, what does she really love? And that's really what I'm trying to figure out today, because that's the song that I obviously need to bring up. And perhaps it's because I'm not bringing that song to the world that I needed to have health problems, so that I would slow down and recognize that there is something that I'm not doing, right? I don't know, right? But when I think about my life from a positive perspective of doing the work, being part of the ebb and flow of my higher power, and a part of what's making the universe spin, it gives me a lot more optimism that the small things I do every day have an opportunity to help change the world.
Yes. So powerful and so true. I pray to Yahweh that you will find that peace that you need and want. And it will find you at the time when you really did not believe it will come, or that you wasn't ready, but God said that you ready.
Yes.
So it will happen. I believe that will happen. It happened for me, so it can happen for you.
Yes.
So whatever you're doing in life and what you have done before was powerful, and it made a change. You are beautifully made from God.
Oh, thank you.
So never never forget that you are loved from me, from in Barbados, from thousands of miles away. You are loved from me and others.
Oh, thank you
So
so much.
never forget that.
You either, little lady. You got me on the internet again. Oh my goodness.
Because the Lord said that you have a story to tell. So I thank you sincerely. I thank you.
Well, Rochelle, I'm walking in your footsteps, my friend. I most of your viewers probably don't know, but the way that we met was from YouTube, right? From,
Yeah,
hey, why don't you come? Let's talk about how to redesign your channel. And
yeah,
you stepped in and were willing to, have your channel examined. And then you stepped into the crypto community and became a part of that. And I was like, try this, get involved with this, let's see if these
yeah,
things work for you. And at every turn, it was like, nope, not this way. Nope, not this way. Nope, not this way. And I'm really excited about the work that you're doing on your channel now with having these interviews and bringing this wisdom forward, right? You show me not to give up, because if there's reason to give up, right? Could I handle your load, right? Where's that switch?
yeah,
Ah, right? You know what I mean? Like, so
yeah,
you show me that, from 2 years ago to now, you're continuing to push forward, continuing to make change, continuing to pivot, and continuing to bring even more value to the community. And I think these interviews that you're doing are going to continue to bring value. And, we need to talk about what kind of people you need on your channel so that I can find you some people to interview, right?
well, that would be wonderful. That is what I need, especially. So
Yep.
we pray to the Lord that will happen. Amen.
Yep, you will find you some more people, because I think especially positive people who can help. That's where I've gone, is to the internet, to have those uplifting stories that, yeah, I can go on another day, right?
Yes.
There's a reason to have hope. Tomorrow will be better.
We went through sincerely life, and yes, it touched us deeply. So what are you doing? Who are you helping? So now we were going from talking about life, and we are going to play a game about life. So with this game, you have to describe these things that I will ask you with one word.
Okay, it's gonna be hard.
Okay? All right. The first one is describe the sun in one word.
Mm, 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 mm. Oh my goodness, Father.
Father? Okay. Hmm. Okay, for me, the sun, well, I should have said this sun is this S-U-N.
Yep, yep.
You still say father. Okay. I will say vitamin.
Okay, yes, yeah.
All
I
right.
think we're on the same. We're thinking about it the same, because without the sun, life can't be, right? But without the earth, where the seeds live, you got it.
Yes. The sun is our vitamin physically and spiritually,
Yes, yes,
right?
yes.
Okay, number two, describe yourself in one word.
Dynamic.
Ah, that is so beautiful.
How would you describe yourself?
Confusing.
Confusing. Oh, whatever. Resilient. Resilient. I'd use resilient.
Well, yeah, that is true. But I think confusing sometimes. Okay, describe the breakfast you had today in one word.
Um, a bowl of ground beef
That's
Well,
not
oh, sorry. Oh, okay. I have one word. I have one word. Wrong. Wrong.
wrong.
Wrong.
You will know what is wrong. Um, oh, let me say a boring.
Boring. Yes.
I
Yeah.
will say boring. Okay. Describe your house in one word.
Um, luxurious.
Hmm. I would like to be able to say something like that.
Yes. Yeah. I've got space, and so which through the pandemic for like right before we got into lockdown, I moved, and I would have gone crazy in the small place I was before because
Hmm.
that's what I mean by luxurious. It's just like, yeah, got space, right? Made last year easier.
Oh, that's good. That's so good. Um, for now, where I am,
Yeah.
um, necessary.
Yes. Necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Describe America in one word. So that'd be your own country, but not the persons or the leader in it, just the land mass, you could say, in one word.
Not the people.
Not yeah. No people, no leaders, just America, the land.
Mm, beautiful.
Okay. Well, Barbados, simple. It's simple.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you will say beautiful because in the Caribbean, but it's just a simple country, right?
Yes.
Because you don't have hills or valleys, we are just flat. So we are simple. And the last question is describe your fashion trend in one word.
Consistent. I wear the same thing every day. I buy 5 pairs of the same pants and the same shirt with in different colors. So
Okay.
always wearing the exact like okay, this is different. This is but yeah. When I go to work, it's cookie cutter so that I don't even
Mm.
have to think about it. So
Oh,
consistent.
okay. Okay. Well, because I am not able to go anywhere because of my strokes, really, being paralyzed, it's not easy going anywhere but the hospital or the doctors. So my fashion trend, man, I'm going to another a word I said before, boring.
I could have taken boring. My fashion is boring.
Boring. Yeah, boring. So that is the end of that that game, and we I learned a lot, but by just thinking about one word
Mm-hmm.
describe a lot of things, and we know what we are meaning. What when we say that word,
Yes.
right? Can you share your YouTube channel or your business or any foundations, anything that you're happening you have going on right now?
Well, so right now I'm working very hard on debt reduction because, as you know, hospitals and tests and all that get really expensive. And I don't actually have anything going on right now. I will. I have an idea that I want to bring to market for helping to fight inflation, sort of helping fight inflation, right? So
Mhm.
anti-inflammation, right? So bodily inflammation, not inflation like the economy.
Okay.
And so I'm working on identifying how to bring that to market because I think it's actually going to be transformative. And once I bring it to market, then I will come and beg you to come back on and talk about it at that point. But yeah, I'm thinking about starting up my channel again. I'm looking for ideas on what to start up my channel on. My channel was all about cryptocurrency before, right? Like that was all I talked about.
Yeah.
And I'm more interested in talking about something that we talked about here today, which is, you know, how to the voices in our head, right? Like the fact that we seldom are telling ourselves how good we are. And so a year of just listening to how you're not good enough, how do we overcome that? And then helping people make that journey, because I think, excuse me, a lot of the anger that we're seeing on planes and driving and road rage and people not wanting to go to work is people not feeling good enough, not feeling worthy, and not feeling like there's a reason to go on, right?
Yeah.
And there is a reason to go on. We've forgotten it because the media around us is telling us that everything's bad, and then the voice in our head is telling us that we're not good enough. So I don't know. I have to remember that I'm good enough and start the channel again, right?
Yes. And the Lord will put that in your mind, and you will message me and say, Rochelle, I got it.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
you know, your supporter will always be there.
Oh, I appreciate you, my friend. I really
You're
do.
welcome. So, this last question, what do you want or pray or hope for your future?
I pray that I get financial independence so that I can take the ideas that I have and bring them into really work to change the world in interesting and dynamic ways. It's people like you, Rochelle, who lives in Barbados, but has a desire to do more, to, you know, change not only your life, but impact other people. And there's people like you all over the world that don't live in America, Canada, the UK, and it's really giving voice and power to them. And you know, it doesn't take, you know, in order for you to positively impact your community, to change the accessibility laws in Barbados so that it becomes a more accessible place where they have ramps so that tourism can increase, so that people, their citizens can do more and create livelihood for themselves. It's not something that would take millions and millions of dollars, right?
Yeah.
$25,000 and you could change Barbados, right?
Yes.
So if people can pray for me, because I would like financial independence so that I can impact the world in meaningful ways by empowering people like you, empowering and teaching people to have vision like I didn't have when I was a kid, right? To show people there is a value in going to university, put the effort in here, right? I always used to think about a Barbie van, right? Remember the pink van going
Yeah.
into the inner cities and teaching girls about, you know, science, technology, and math, and just teaching them how to make, you know, kitty nail polish and, you know, how to do different things so that they think beyond being a hairdresser. And instead of becoming a hairdresser, creating a new hair coloring formula, right? That they actually have the positive change and create healthier products for those around them. I want to help people think bigger and to really change their worlds. So I think I do that in my own individual community with the people around me, but yeah, I'd really like financial freedom so that I can take that on the road and actually change more places around the world. America's already on its path, right? It's places like Barbados and you know, Nigeria and you know, even places in Thailand and other places where there are lots of really hardworking people who just need a leg up. And America as well. Like, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, but it's not the world is a community. We think about it as the world, like, oh, that's another country.
Yeah.
No. That's your neighbor, right?
Right.
It's just a walk across the street. It's a 2-hour flight. There's none of this, like it takes 360 days to ride a boat
Yeah.
there. Sorry, it's your neighbor. Hi. So, you know, I need my neighbor to do good so that my entire community can do good.
And I know this will happen
I'm working
because
on it.
You you have that go getter spirit. You never quit, and I know you you are going to do it. And I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting to be saying, yes, I know her. Yes, she's my friend. I
I love
know it will happen. It will happen. The Lord don't ever snuffle anything positive and good. It's to help his children. It will happen.
yes.
So I hope that you have learned a lot from this show with talking with sincerely. Isn't she beautiful? She's she looks like stars to me. Whenever I saw her, that's be like saying stars. And don't you love her personality? Make sure that when you come watch this video, tell sincerely hello. Tell her that she is worthy and that you want to see her on YouTube. Thank you sincerely. I am so happy that you came on my show and you gave me your time.
My pleasure. And thank you so much for inviting me. This was an amazing experience and a great reminder of how fun YouTube can be. So I really appreciate you inviting me and having me and, just making space for me. You're amazing, Rochelle.
No problem. I love you, my sister.
I love you too.
And I thank you so much, the viewers. I hope you are enjoying the show every week. Till we meet till next week. Bye bye.
Bye, everyone.